Okay, once again, very good morning and thanks for being joining. So, as part of last 3 to 4 session, we discussed about cloud computing, what is cloud computing, and intro about Azure services. Along with we discuss about uh, two services. One is how to deploy the basic virtual machine in Windows platform, and how to deploy the basic virtual machine in Linux platform. And the last 2 sessions we discussed about what is the network, what is the subnets, ADR block, and we created the network as well. So we created the virtual network, we created the subnets, and we deployed the networks, and we also discussed about the VPC peering between one network to another network, and we also discussed about what is NSZ, how to enable the inbound rules, outbound rules. Okay, next we are going to discuss once we complete the clusters and always on, we will again back to the Azure platforms. Okay, we'll discuss about Azure storage account, and we'll discuss about Azure Active Directory. Then we'll go for Azure SQL database. So first, let's complete the both services, both high availability techniques, because in cloud also we are going to discuss high availability. So if you complete the always on availability group and clusters, it will little bit help you when we are discussing PaaS platform high availabilities. That's the reason first we are going to complete the Azure clusters along with the always on availability group. It is applicable for both. Okay. So whatever we are discussing, this is applicable for on-premises, along with this is applicable for cloud as well. So anyhow, we are going to deploy everything in the cloud only. Okay. So on-prem also same, nothing more changes, only little bit slight changes when you especially working with the always on availability group. What are the changes? What are the changes you will notice in cluster? What are the changes you will notice in always on availability group? When you go for on-premises, we are going to discuss, but mostly everything we are configuring in the cloud platform. So you are so comfortable over the cloud, how to deploy the clusters, how to deploy always on availability group, how to play with these two high availabilities on top of clusters, on top of cloud platform. You are so comfortable. Now, let's start, sir, first. Okay. So first concept today we are going to start is Windows failover cluster, WFC. Before we start, anyone having any idea what is Windows failover cluster? Anyone, someone? A brief about what is Windows failover cluster? Don't take more time, but just brief about 1 or 2 lines. That's it.
Group of servers together to form as a single server.
Okay. Group of the servers working as a together. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, to multiple servers connected with as a cluster, so that if one is down, then other can be down.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Cluster is a group of servers, and in this failover cluster, it will check the health status of both the available nodes. If something happens to any primary node, it will automatically fail the secondary node.
Subbu, it will maintain the high availability and the disaster recovery.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good, sir. Now, first, sir, till now we discussed two high availabilities, lock shipping, mirroring, and also we discussed about one of the great feature that is nothing but replication. Okay. I forgot to ask everyone. So how many people configured replication?
Yeah, myself done Subbu replication.
Oh, great, great. Others also please confirm, sir, everyone. So we are ready to plan to take the replication troubleshooting. If that completes, we are good almost. We will complete, meanwhile, we'll complete the clusters and troubleshooting, always on troubleshooting.
So
Okay.
I'm in progress. I need to.
Yeah. Okay.
They
So
also completed.
Okay, yeah, great. In case if someone got stuck, okay, you can plan everyone two to three people or four people plan and reach to Sai once. Okay, he is in currently not in night shift. Okay, please do it fast. So in this week only we are going to means next week by next weekend we are planning to complete the replication troubleshooting as well. Okay, so Sai is going to take most of the sessions, but I am going to plan one session. Okay, well with too much advanced level. Okay, so that you can gain more knowledge and more comfortable with the replication troubleshooting. Now back to sir. Okay, so that's what. So back to our session. So Windows failover cluster as part of Windows failover cluster. So till now we discussed about three high availabilities. Three. One is lock shipping. One is DB mirroring, and also we completed about troubleshooting everything. And now we completed replication, peer-to-peer as well. Now, one of the most awaiting concept we are going to discuss is clusters. So before we directly go into the cluster, let's talk a little bit about this too, sir. Log shipping is a database level redundancy. Okay, database level redundancy. It is not a best high availability, but it is a best DR technique. Mirroring is a database level redundancy, DB level redundancy. It's a one of the best high availability technique because it will support automatic failover when you are having witness server. And peer-to-peer is not like best high availability technique. It's like a maintaining multiple copies. Okay, but someone will also call because uh, for especially for peer-to-peer, they inherited some features from a cluster as well, like a node concept. So that's the reason we are also some people may also call replication like a high availability, but not transaction replication, merge replication, and a snapshot replication. Peer-to-peer, someone will call it as a high availability. Keep it in mind. Now, finally, so lock shipping is a database level, mirroring is also database level. Now, see, sir, assume this is your standalone server. Okay, this is your standalone server. Standalone server. Now this is your production, very critical production server, Okay, and you install SQL server here. You install SQL, and it is running your databases, and it is one of the critical server, and it is a standalone SQL. It is running your SQL instance. So, for example, how you are going to protect this SQL? So so forget about always on, forget about clusters. Now we are having we discuss only two techniques. Let's talk about two techniques. Okay, forget about replication as well. Forget about replication, clusters always on. Assume you don't have clusters, you don't have always on, you don't have replication as well. You have only two techniques. One is log shipping, one is mirroring. Now, this is one of the most critical production server, one of the most critical production server. So when you take log shipping, when you take DB mirroring, when you take log shipping, when you take mirroring, how it is protecting, sir? It is protecting your database level, right? Agree, not agree? Within that instance, it is protecting the database level redundancy. Okay, it is just protecting your database level redundancy. What about hardware level redundancy? No. So if something happened to the operating system, okay, if something happened to OS, if something happened to disk, if something happened to uh, resources like CPU, memory, IO, okay, so your standalone, it's just standalone server. On top of the standalone server, you are creating a databases and you are maintaining the redundancy on the database level. But how you can protect your hardware resources as well, like in terms of operating system, in terms of CPU, memory, IO, means IO is nothing but storage. In terms of how you can protect the underlying infrastructure as well. Then they started thinking about that we need to protect the infrastructure as well. Okay, that is a one thing. And one more thing is it's a just standalone SQL. Okay, it's a just standalone SQL. So why can't we make SQL is also on top of cluster? SQL on cluster. Okay, so we are going to protect, okay, hardware level using Windows failover cluster. You can protect hardware level using Windows failover cluster, and also you can protect entire SQL. You can protect entire SQL with the help of SQL on cluster. With the help of SQL on cluster. Clear? Two things here most important, sir. One is
Uh,
you are
Subbu, one thing,
protecting
Subbu.
entire hardware level with the Windows failover cluster. One, you can also protect entire SQL server with help of SQL on cluster. Means in case if something happened to hardware, okay, if something happened to hardware, it will move entire the resources to the another server. For example, you are having two servers. So if something happened to operating system, it will move entire services, whatever you are running in this operating system. That includes SQL as well. Okay, that includes SQL. So whatever you are running on top of this operating system, that includes SQL as well. It will move whole resources to the another node. That includes SQL as well. So it means Windows failover cluster is not only for your SQL server, sir. Means Windows failover cluster means only we can keep on top of SQL server. No, we can't keep nothing. No, sir, it's not like that. You can keep any number of things on Windows failover cluster. You can keep any number of things on top of Windows failover cluster. Like you can keep the networks, you can keep the DNS, you can keep the storage, you can keep the networks, you can keep the SQL. So on top of Windows failover cluster, you can build any number of resources. Apart from that resources, SQL is also one resource. Apart from this resources, SQL is also one resource. So they started thinking, yes, we can protect the operating system with help of Windows failover cluster. Also, we can also protect the SQL server by configuring the SQL on cluster. SQL on cluster. Getting my point, everyone?
Yeah, Subbu, one thing, SQL cluster and Windows Player cluster is same or like is it
That's what,
some
sir.
something?
Both are two different concepts you need to understand. Understand wise level. You need to different. Okay. On top of Windows failover cluster, you can install the standalone SQL. On top of Windows failover cluster, you can install SQL on cluster. So
Oh,
what is the platform? Windows failover cluster. Why
okay.
you are creating the Windows failover cluster? Means
To
to protect the
maintain, yeah.
underlying hardware. To protect the underlying hardware, we are going to build the Windows failover cluster.
So on top of Windows Player cluster, we can install SQL cluster also, right, Subbu?
Yes.
Okay.
Now again, almost SQL cluster is dead, sir. No one will use. Okay, it's
Okay,
almost
Subbu.
dead. Once the always on came into the picture, it's almost dead. But still, we forget about always on, sir. There is no
Yeah.
always on for us. So how the concept is, this is how, sir.
Okay, Subbu.
Okay, yeah.
When Windows failover cluster is configured, then like the storage network and the other
Come on,
services.
sir. Come on, sir. Come on, come on. We'll discuss all the stuff. I will show you. No, okay. You
Okay.
understand base concept?
Yes.
No. Yes. So they thought two things on that years ago. Years ago. One is how you can protect the hardware level. We can protect the hardware level by building Windows failover cluster. That's the first thing. How you can maintain entire instance level redundancy. Yeah, I can also maintain entire SQL instance level redundancy by configuring the SQL on cluster. By configuring SQL on cluster, I can maintain entire hardware, SQL level redundancy. And meanwhile, I can, but if you want to build SQL on cluster, your VM should be part of cluster, sir. Again, keep it in mind. If you want to build SQL on cluster, again, SQL on cluster. Okay, if you want to build SQL on cluster, you need Windows Failure Cluster platform. Otherwise, it's not like you can't build, sir. You can't build. So standalone, you can build any platform. Standalone SQL, you can build any platform. But if you want to build SQL on cluster, you need Windows Failure Cluster platform. Without Windows Failure Cluster, you can't build SQL on cluster. This is also one key point everyone need to remember.
So it means two clusters. One is Windows Failover cluster, one is SQL cluster. And am I right, Subbu?
It's
Like
a
we can.
yes.
Okay.
SQL on cluster, Windows Failure Cluster. Both are independent, sir. Again, both are not dependent. Only SQL on
Bit,
cluster is
con-
a dependency, a little bit dependency. But
bit
again,
confusing, Subbu.
don't get confused. On top of Windows Failure Cluster, you can install standalone, traditional standalone. You already know, sir, how to install standalone.
Yes, Subbu. This is
Okay. Now you can install SQL on cluster. So this is to
okay.
maintain the DB level, mostly DB level redundancies or traditional
Okay.
level you will work. This is instance level redundancy.
Okay. Under
Instance
this
level
SQL
redundancy.
cluster, again we will maintain the DBs, right?
Yes, sir. Of course, it's a SQL only.
Yeah. Yeah.
SQL
Okay.
only. You can create the databases. You can play whatever you want, sir.
Actually, I didn't see this environment, Subbu, so that's why a bit confused.
No worries. Clear everyone. Firstly, everyone, clear your doubts. No. Yes. Basic,
Yeah.
sir.
So,
This
Okay.
is a basic thing I'm explain. Okay. One is to maintain entire your hardware redundancy. We got to know Windows Failure Cluster, and I wanted to maintain entire SQL level redundancy. I can go for SQL on cluster. But if you want to build SQL on cluster, you need Windows platform, Windows cluster platform. Without Windows cluster platform, you can't build SQL on cluster. But standalone, you can build wherever you want, sir. These are the 3 points you need to remember. Now, questions. That's the first thing you need to understand, sir. Later on, we can discuss whatever you want. Okay, no
Can you
worries.
repeat once again, Subbu, these 3 points?
So very simple. Okay. So Microsoft thought thinking that, okay, how we can maintain the redundancy about the hardware failure. Hardware failure like CPU, memory. Forget about storage, sir. Storage is a little bit different here. Storage is a little bit different here. CPU, memory, any operating system level. Okay, any like OS level. Redundancy completely Microsoft is going to maintain with the help of Windows Failure Cluster. Okay, and also when you go for log shipping mirroring, it's a database level redundancy, not instance level redundancy. I don't want database level redundancy. I want database level redundancy as well as I want instance level redundancy as well. Then you can go for the SQL clusters. So where you can maintain the DB level redundancy along with the instance level redundancy. You can maintain both, sir, when you go for SQL on cluster. So if you want to install SQL on cluster, you mustn't should required Windows Failure Cluster platform. If you want to install standalone, it can be any platform, sir. It can be normal operating system. It can be Dockers. It can be containers. It can be Mac OS. It can be Linux platform. It can be also the Windows Failure Cluster. Standalone can be wherever you want. You can go and install, sir, if it supports. But SQL on cluster is not like that. You need Windows Failure Cluster platform. Without Windows Failure Cluster platform, you can't build SQL on cluster. Yep. No. Yes.
Got it, Subbu.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, sir, we'll go for some theoretical example as most of the people knows this concept, but still. Okay. A cluster is a group of individual computer systems referring to as a nodes. Okay. It's a group, sir. For example, every system is a sorry. This is one system. This is one system. This is one system. 3 systems are independently working. Okay, independently working. This is independently working. This is also independently working. This is also independently working. Now, what I am going to do, I am going to group the server. I am going to group the servers with help of Windows failover cluster. I can group the server so that all these three servers can work as a single unit. All these three servers can work as a single unit, because if something happened to here, no worries, I'm having one more. If something happened to this, no worries, I'm having one more. If something happened to this, no worries, I'm having one more. If you build 4 node clusters, okay, if everything is gone, okay, of course, if anything, everything is gone, nothing, no one can do anything, sir. But here, no worries. If something happened here, no worries, I can take it. If something happened to this as well, no worries, I can take this. If something happened to this as well, no worries, I can take this one as well. Assumes are in terms of with hardware level. Hardware level, if something happened to CPU, something happened to memory, something happened to operating system, forget about storage, sir. Okay, something happened to this resources, no worries, I am having another node who can take immediately the responsibility. Means on top of this, whatever the resources you placed, on top of this, what resources you placed, all the resources will move to the respective node. To move to the respective node, to which node it will move, how it will move, we are going to discuss, sir. And I will also show you, it's not only for SQL Server, sir. You can place n number of service on top of the clusters. Okay, that is also I will show you where you can check all that part. So whenever you open Failover Cluster Manager, sometimes you will see only SQL. Sometimes it will be so weird, means too many services are running. Don't get confused. So Windows Failover Cluster is not only dedicated for SQL, sir. It is dedicated for a number of services where you can place on top of clusters like network. You can place the network, you can place the disk, you can place the DNS, you can place the VPNs, you can place even VMs also on top of cluster. Sir, this is grouping is different. This grouping is different. Again, on top of the cluster, you can also place the VMs. Okay, on top of cluster, you can place the VMs. There are variety things you can do it, sir. But no worries about all the stuff. You are not a Windows admin who need to know everything. But as a SQL administrators, we are good at to learn about how to build a Windows Failover cluster, how to build a SQL cluster, how to use the SQL cluster, what are the things I can do in the SQL cluster, what are the advantages, what are the drawbacks, everything we are going to discuss. Okay. Now, so a cluster is a group of independent computer systems referring to as a node. So technically, when you go to the clusters, you need to call it as a nodes. Okay, like when you go for all block shipping, primary database, secondary database, and monitor database. If you go for mirroring principal, mirror witness. If you go for replication, publisher, distributor, subscriber, how you are providing, how you are calling as a naming, right? Like same, when you specially go for Windows Failover clusters, you need to call it as a nodes. You need to call it as a nodes, working together as a unified compute resources. Working together as a unified compute resources means single unit, sir. It's a single unit. A cluster provides a single name for the client to use a single administrator infrastructure. That is also we are going to discuss. Hold on. And it guarantees that the data is consistency across the nodes, means the data can be accessible across the nodes. And Microsoft Server provides three technologies to support the clustering. One is network load balancers. You can keep the network also on top of the clusters. You can keep the component load balancers. You can keep the components as well. Okay, Microsoft related components, and also you can maintain the Microsoft clustered service. This is our, sir, failover cluster. Okay, so Microsoft is supporting three variety clusters. Out of that, we are focusing this one, sir. Microsoft cluster service is nothing but Microsoft failover cluster service. Microsoft Failover cluster. This is the service we are focusing. Apart from this, you can also keep component load balancers. You can also keep network load balancers. Also, you can keep n number of resources on top of the clusters. Apart from this varieties of clusters, you can also keep on top of cluster varieties of resources. Okay, this is also one part, but no worries about what is that network load balancer, component load balancer. We are not going to do all this stuff. Being we are a SQL engineers, we are here to learn one of the component which Microsoft is supporting is okay, Microsoft WFC. That's what I told you, right? Microsoft Failover Cluster Services, FS, whatever you can call it, sir. Microsoft Failover Cluster Service, whatever Microsoft is offering, that we are going to discuss. A clustered service act as a backend cluster. Okay, means whenever you are going to build a cluster, there will be one server's cluster service. Cluster service will be created. This service will plays a major role. Like you already know, right? When you install SQL Server, there will be two services. One is the SQL Server service, one is the SQL Agent service, right? Now that is the two service which is backbone for your entire database engine and agent engine. Like same, when you are going to install Failover Cluster Manager, when you install Failover Cluster Manager, by default, there will be one service will be created that is nothing but cluster service. That is the backbone for your entire Failover Cluster Manager. That is the backbone, sir. Cluster service is the backbone for us. Cluster services is the backbone for us. It provides high availability for applications such as databases, messaging, files, printer services. I told you, right? N number of things you can place on top of the cluster. Is not only dedicated for SQL. It's not only dedicated for SQL. You can keep N number of services on top of the cluster, like databases, nothing but SQL, like messaging, file share. Messaging is nothing but SMB protocols. Okay, file, printer service. You can keep n number of service on top of the cluster service. And if something happen, cluster will take responsibility to move the services from one node to another node. One node to another node. Like how you are going to build the Windows Failover cluster, we are having two more varieties of cluster. That is nothing but network load balancer cluster and component Failover cluster as well. Clear? No? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, clear, Subbu.
Where is it? Yeah. Now, sir, let's go for picture, sir, so that you can understand easily. Assume, sir, this is your node. Okay. So technically speaking, you need to call it as a nodes. Okay. I will share you the material. Okay. This material. It's very easy, user-friendly material. Everything is available, sir. Okay. Which you can understand easily. Okay. I will share this material. You no need to prepare anything. Okay. You will get it this material. Now, sir, technically speaking, you need to call it as a nodes. Okay. You need to call it as a nodes here. So assume this is my node 1. Okay. This is my node 2. Okay. So assume this is my node 1. Try to understand, sir. Now logics are very important. If you understand this one, half of the cluster is done, sir. Node 2. Okay. Node 3. Okay. First, you need to understand the terminologies. Whatever the servers are going to part of cluster, whatever the servers are going to part of cluster, we are technically speaking as a nodes. We are technically speaking as a nodes. Whatever the servers are going to part of cluster, we are technically speaking as a nodes. That is the first point you need to remember, sir. Okay, second point. Now, So there is a concept called active. We can build two type of clusters, sir. One is active cluster. One is active passive cluster. One is active cluster. One is active passive cluster. Again, I'm speaking. So you can configure two type of clusters. So first and not first. Okay, cluster meaning a group of servers where we can configure on the instance level. That is a simple answer, sir. You need to remember. All the participated servers, we will technically call it as a nodes. We'll technically call it as a nodes. If one node goes down, automatically other node can come immediately without any downtime. Means there will be minimal downtime, sir. Minimal downtime. So maximum, it will take the responsibility. Another node will take the responsibility. That is a simple understanding. Now we can configure cluster in two ways. One is the active, one is the active passive. One is active, one is active passive. First, to understand what is active, what is passive. Forget about what is active, passive. But what is active, what is passive, sir? In terms of anyone, what is active? What is active, sir?
Currently, which is connected with the application.
Primary server. Yeah.
Okay. Any other answers? Can I expect?
Which is in actively in production, like inserting updates or anything is performed by the primary server.
I
It is
will kill
called
you, Navin.
active.
Very simple answer. Why you are explaining too much?
Running server.
What are the
Almost
SQL
you are there.
services?
Almost you. Yeah. Someone is saying.
Yeah, what are the SQL services running? That is active.
Yeah, very simple. Thanks, Ravi Teja. Thanks. Very
Okay.
simple answer, sir. Wherever your SQL is running, you should call it as active. That's it. Forget about
Okay, that's
application is
good.
connecting, that connecting, this connecting. We are not. No need to worry about all that stuff, sir. On which node your SQL services are running, that node technically you should call it as a active. Clear? Not clear? Very simple answer,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Very basic answer. This is, you don't need to think too much technical. You don't need to think too much technical, sir. What is active? What is active in the sense? Wherever my SQL services are running, those node technically, that node technically we'll call it as a active node. The node where SQL services is running, that node we'll call it as a active node. The node where SQL services are sitting idle, means in a stoppered state, sir. In a stoppered state, that node technically will call it as a passive node. First, clear what is active, what is passive? Sir, active in the sense the node where SQL services is running, that node technically will call it as active node. The node where SQL services are in idle state. Idle state is in the sense stoppered state, sir. Stoppered state. That node will technically call it as a passive. Okay, not okay, everyone.
Okay, sir. Good. Got it.
Okay. Now, sir, basically first we'll go for active passive, sir. Okay. Assume I am going to install one SQL instance called prod. Okay. And I personally, I'm an application team, sir. I will tell to, or assume you are all the DBAs. I am telling to the DBAs, hey, always my instance need to run on node 1. Means always node 1 will act as a active node for prod. For prod instance, always node 1 will act as a active node. Clear? Now, being it is a cluster, if something happened to prod, either node 2 or node 3 need to take responsibility, right? So what you will do, you will install prod instance in the node 2 as well. You will install prod instance in the node 3 as well. If something happened to this, no worries, node 2 will take responsibility. If something happened to this, node 3 will take responsibility. If all three nodes goes down, now we can also go for the bed for this to sleep. Nothing can do, sir. Okay, please keep it in mind. This is also important question. If all three nodes goes down, you can go and sleep. Nothing. Okay, nothing we can do. So now for prod instance, this is acting as a passive. This is acting as a passive. Clear? First point clear, sir, everyone? Sir, this is a little bit confused. Everyone need to understand this concept only. Even your experience also, most of the people is getting confused here. First point clear, sir? No? Yes? For prod instance,
Yes, we do.
for prod instance, I am treating that node 1 need to be active, means always my services need to run on node 1. Rest of the nodes, my SQL services are there, but it will be in the sleeping mode, nothing but stopper state. So that nodes we are technically calling as a passive. Passive. This is what technically we'll call it as active passive cluster, sir. Active passive cluster. It can be n number of passives, no worries. But technically we are calling as it's a active passive cluster. That is the first point. Next point, sir. Okay. Now, sir, I am having almost 128 cores of CPU and 650 GB of RAM. So forget about storage. I am not discussing anything about storage here. Leave it about storage for a while. Okay, for a while. Now I am having 128 cores and 650 GB of RAM. I'm having 128 cores, 650 GB of RAM. Sir, if your SQL services are running in node 1, what node 2, node 3 is doing, sir? Simply sitting idle, right? Nothing is doing, right? Node 2, node 3. Assume? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's not doing anything, sir. Sir, this is the massive configuration, sir. 128 cores of CPU, 650 GB of RAM. Okay, it's a little bit powerful system, and nothing is doing. Simply sitting idle, wasting of your resources, right? You are wasting your resources only, right? We don't know when this fails. We don't know when this will fails. We don't know, right? Anyone knows that, okay, this time this node will down, this time the SQL instance will down, this time something will happen. No one can predict, sir. No one can predict. Okay, so until if something goes wrong, either any one of the nodes will take responsibility. Meanwhile, these two nodes are sitting with idle, and these two servers are massive powerful computers which are not doing anything, just maintaining idle services. Then we thought thinking, hey, why can't we build one more instance? Why can't we install one more instance, sir? Now we install one more instance. So for example, I'm installing prod 2 instance. Okay, and I am making this node 2 as my active. Always this prod 2 instance need to run on node 2. Always my preference for prod 2 is this instance I need to run on node 2 only. Now for this you need to install passive as well, right? Now here I will install passive. Here I will install passive. This is acting as a passive. This is acting as active. This is also acting as a passive. Okay, at least two nodes are active with a different instance. Two nodes are active with different services. On node 1, prod instance is running. Node 2, prod 2 instance is running. And still one more instance is still passive only. See, sir, this is still passive. And this is also having 128 cores and 650 GB of RAM. Why I need to waste the resources? Okay, let's install one more instance, prod 3. And I am making this as an active node. And prod 3, which is acting as a passive. Prod 3, which is acting as a passive. Okay. Now, if any one node goes down, okay, if any one node goes down, this instance, whatever it is running, it will move either to node 2 or node 3. Means node 2 can maintain 2 instances at a time because that is having massive capacity. No problem, sir. And node 2 is also can maintain 2 instances at a time because that is also having massive capacity. That is how you will build active clusters to balance the resources. In simple lay terms, I can tell you in different terminologies, sir. Active passive is nothing but single instance. Single instance. Active cluster is nothing but multiple instance. Correct? Yes or no? Yes or no? Active is nothing but multiple instance, right?
Yes, Subbu.
Active passive is nothing but single instance, right? Sir, again, sir, active passive is just for your understanding only. SQL doesn't know. Okay? SQL doesn't know. SQL knows where services are running. That's it. We are thinking that, oh, Subbu, active, passive. We are getting a little bit confused. Okay, we are not able to understand how nothings are here. Whenever you open Failover Cluster Manager, when you see where services are running, okay, that service will treat as active, remaining service will treat as a passive. That's it. Now you may also get one question. So for example, assume sir, something happened to node 3 and prod 3 is also failover to node 2. Currently, this is acting as active. Okay, this is acting as active. And node 3 came to online and currently this is acting as a passive. Now tell me what configuration is. It is active cluster or active passive cluster? One node is completely passive. So it is not like that you need to say, sir, okay, what is active, what is passive? Okay, this is active cluster, active passive cluster. No. Don't see in that point of view, sir. Open Failover Cluster Manager, see how many services are installed, means how many instances are installed, which instance is running which node. That is what you need to see, and you need to conclude that, okay, for this instance, node 1 is active. For this instance, node 2 is active. For this instance, node 3 is active. Remaining for this instance, remaining nodes are passive. That is how you need to think on your mind, sir. Okay, so don't think that, okay, this is too active, this is passive. Okay, now whenever I'm explaining what I need to explain, you should not think like this, sir. You should think from the resources point of view. For this resource, what is active, what is passive? For this resource, what is active, what is passive? For this resource, what is active, what is passive? That is how you need to think. Clear? No? Yes?
Just I have one question.
Yeah.
Actually, three are playing as active, for example. So with different services. So for example, node one have different service. Node two have different service. So node three have different service. So for example, node one fails. So what about the services?
Sir, first underlying concept understand, sir, what it fails, how it will fails, what will do. We'll discuss later.
Okay.
First, you understand the concept.
Yeah.
You understand the concept.
Yeah, a little bit confused.
That's why you are
That's
going
why.
again for what will happen, it fail or what will happen. I hope you are getting my point.
Yeah.
First understand here, sir. Anyhow, we are going to discuss everything.
Okay.
You whatever you are expecting, double I can explain. Okay,
Okay.
everyone, sir.
Yeah.
If you don't want that double explanation, I can go one day. I can finish the cluster. But you need to understand underlying flow, sir. Forget about troubleshooting. We are not worrying about troubleshooting. You don't know about what is active, what is active, passive, how you can confidently work on troubleshooting, sir. Okay,
Okay.
so please,
Okay, sir.
uh, because you are a new, I am telling to you specially, as I told many times to all our students, whatever we are discussing, stay back in there only. Okay,
Okay,
because
sir.
this is what the platform. If you're not understanding the platform, then even you are good at troubleshooting, also you are having zero knowledge. Okay, this is the platform, sir. Everyone need to understand. Okay, what is active, what is passive, what is active, what is active, passive, how we need to think. Okay, so all this stuff is very important because past my all experience, okay, many students ask, even there are good experienced people, good knowledge in SQL, but still they confused here only. Very simple understanding, sir. Active passive is nothing but single instance. Active is nothing but multiple instances. A very simple answer, straightforward answer. Okay, what is active? Which node? The node where SQL service is running, we'll call it as active node. What is passive? The node which is idle node, we'll call it as a passive node. That's it. This is the 4 terminologies you need to remember. Now you may ask one question. Sir, how many instances I can install in this cluster? In these 3 nodes? How many instances I can install in these 3 nodes, sir? I want this type of questions, sir, from everyone, you people, okay? Whoever writes the questions, right? I want this type of questions relevant to this concept. Okay? Don't go for irrelevant, sir. Irrelevant, again, we are going to discuss going forward. Okay, I will discuss deeply, sir, troubleshooting also. I promise you will become strong in troubleshooting. I bet you, sir, you will become strong in troubleshooting. I'm super good at cluster troubleshooting. Very super good. Okay, no worries. No worries at all. Focus on today's session, sir. Not only today, every day, focus on what concept we are discussing and raise the questions related to this. Ending, you can ask whatever questions you want, sir. Now, my question is, how many instances I can install on top of this 3-node cluster?
As of SQL, so one instance we can install up to 100, but depends on its capacity and performance. We can decide the how many instances like that. As Microsoft 100.
Okay. Sir, come on. My question is very simple, and you confuse to interviewer as well. Even I will also go on thinking what you are saying. Okay. My question is, how many SQL instances you can install on this cluster? How
Is
many?
it 150?
150.
25.
Okay, 25. Okay, good, super good answers. 25, 150 is a very strange answer. Okay.
100.
100 is fantastic answer.
Maximum.
Okay.
50, sir.
Who is that?
Navin, 50.
Super good. 50. 50 is the right answer. Sir, these 3 servers acting as a independent or single?
Single. Yes.
Single, right?
Yeah.
These 3 servers are single, sir. One system only. One system only with different device names. These are all one unit. That is what, right? First point I explained. A cluster meaning group of servers working as a together as a single unit. Correct? Say a cluster is a group independent computer system referring as a node working together as a unified computing resources. It's a one device only, sir. It's acting as a one. So how many instances you can install in one system, sir? 50. How many install here? 50 only, right? 50 only. 50 only, sir. Sir, here you are installing default instance. Here also you are installing same default instance. Here also you are installing same default instance. Sir, I am not discussing standalone. I am not discussing standalone. I am purely on SQL on cluster. Please, sir, whatever answer someone told 150, you are right. When you go for standalone, you are right. But I'm not sure about what is this answer. What is this answer? I really don't know, sir. This answer is right when you go for standalone on top of clusters. But forget about today concept is not standalone. Today concept SQL on cluster. When you go for SQL on cluster, whatever the instance you are installing, here also you will install same instance, right? Agree, not agree? Everyone. Lucky, Hemant, Venu. Right? Here also you are installing same instance only, right? Already you have one instance. How many instances you can install? Are 49, right?
Yeah, 49.
Then that's what I told you, 50 instance. One will be default, 49 will be name.
Yeah.
These are all working as a together one unit, sir. Don't get confused. It's not standalone SQL. It's a SQL on cluster. Hope you everyone understand.
Yeah, I multiplied that thing. Now
Yeah.
it's clear.
Yeah, Raja, you understand? I'm not sure how you got 25. Okay.
Somewhere I thought I
No, sir. No, sir. Okay. No, we can install 50, sir, because, sir, each instance is maintaining representative services, right, sir? Means whatever whatever the services you install here, this copy is maintaining here, right? Means whatever the instance you install here, also there is the same instance. Means if this goes down, this will take the responsibility, right? Means already one instance is installed. Remaining how many instances are 49, right? That's what I'm saying. 49 instances. Sir, all are working together. So forget about standalone. If you go for standalone, whatever the answer told, this is right. Okay. Here 50, here 50, here 50, here 50. But this is SQL on cluster, right? Okay. So because every active you need to maintain the passive. Passive is nothing but copy of the resources, sir. Copy of the services. So here also you are having one copy. Here also you are having same copy. Here also you are having same copy. If this copy goes down, no worries. I can bring here. If this goes down, no worries. I can bring here. If three goes down, then we can go for bed and sleep. Nothing. Okay. This is what your understanding should be, sir. Great. Questions? No? Yes? Come on, sir. We need to build the VMs today. I won't leave you, because if I build the VMs today, I will build the networks, I will build the VM so that I can copy the set of files, SSMS, everything by tomorrow. So that tomorrow we can start the configuring from scratch level.
Subbu sir,
Yes.
could you please once explain how 150 is correct?
150 correct if you go for standalone VMs, standalone SQL, sir. On top of cluster, you can build a standalone SQL. So in
Okay.
one instance, how many standalone SQL you can install, sir? 50, right?
50, yes.
Here also 50, right?
Okay.
Here also 50, right? Again, you ask one more doubt, sir. Sir, this is the what questions you need to ask, but I am asking question. I am answering the questions. That's the strange thing. Okay, sir. Okay, Subbu. I little bit confused, but I understood. Assume I want. I'm little bit having mental in my mind. Okay, and I want little bit different configuration. So, for example, I'm having three instance. I'm having three instance, three servers. I'm having three instance in three servers. Okay. Three, three, three. Can I install one more instance? Pod 4, pod 4. Can I install one more instance, sir? Question. I'm asking question. Everyone so silent. Can I install pod 4?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Can I install pod 5? Yes. Sir, you can maintain n number of instance on top of cluster. Okay. So for example, I'm installing pod 4. I am treating here as a active. So I'm installing pod 4 here for passive. I'm installing passive pod 4. For example, I'm installing pod 5. Okay. I'm choosing this as a active. This has a passive, this has a passive. So you can install n number of instance. It is not like that, okay, I am maintaining three nodes. I need to install only three instance. No, sir, there is no restriction. That is what, there is no restriction. You can install maximum 50 instance on top of this cluster. That's the first thing you need to make a note down. And every active you need to maintain the passives are otherwise no use. No user. Every active you need to maintain the passive. How many passive also, that is up to you only, sir. Up to you can decide. That is also up to you only. How many passives means your application team, sir. And one more thing. Okay, Subbu, I'm agree. I'm already having 5 prod instance, 5 prod, which is being part of cluster, SQL on cluster. Can I install standalone here? Standalone here? Standalone SQL? Can I install standalone SQL here?
Yes, sir, we can.
Sir.
Yes, sir, you can also install. Okay, good answer. Yes, sir, you can also install. So it's not like that. Okay, you need to strictly go for this one. Strictly, you need to follow these rules. There is no here and there rules, sir. That is rules will be designed by your application team only. If they are having some crack, you will go for crack only. If they are having good, you are little bit safe. Okay, so on top of this VMs, you can install as many instances as you want to install. Yes, sir. Of course, you can install. No one will stop. And if it is a mixture of standalone and SQL on cluster, yes, sir, that is also you can follow. But mostly that is we won't recommend all this stupid configurations. But some people will still follow, sir. We can't do anything. We need to accept. We need to support. That's it. Okay? Not okay. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Clear? Not clear? All your doubts clarified? Come on, sir. You need to clarify this only, not troubleshooting, sir. Of course, troubleshooting will take 1 year to become strong, everyone. Okay? This is the first thing you need to clarify in your mind. What is active? What is passive? All the stuff. Okay. Now, sir, let's talk realistic level. Okay, real world level. So basically, how real world looks like means, for example, I'm not confusing you, sir. I'm just taking two node cluster. Assume this is my node one. Node one. This is my node two. Okay, this is my node two. I am going to install prod instance. Okay, this is acting as a active prod instance. This is acting as a passive. I'm installing one more instance, pre-prod. This is passive. Pre-prod. This is active. Okay, this active, this passive. Also active cluster only, sir. Basically, sir, we will build one more VM, sir, in real world. Okay, one more VM, like a basic VM, sir. This is a basic VM. We will call it as a cluster VM here. Cluster VM. A cluster VM. This technically we'll call it as a cluster VM, where we are going to build the complete cluster here, where we will maintain the cluster, failover, failbacks, monitoring, everything you can do from here. Where actual SQL services are running, node 1, node 2, sir. Okay, node 1 to 2. In real world also, this is the one of the best practice you need to follow. Subbu, is really I need to build the one VM for cluster configuration, monitoring, everything? Really, sir, no need, no need. But for example, you don't have this, sir, and you configure cluster from either node 1 or node 2. You configure node 1 or node 2, and you are, for example, you open failure cluster manager and you started monitoring, sir. Suddenly something happened on node 2, node 1 goes down. Whatever you are monitoring also gone, right? Yes or no? Agree, not agree? Hey, yes or no? So, sir, once you configure, we'll get to know, sir, all the stuff. Okay, please hold for tomorrow. We maximum tomorrow we are going to build the cluster. Okay, what I mean to say is, as per the best practices, so what we will do, right? We will create a basic VM for especially for Windows failure cluster configuration, uh, monitoring monitoring purpose, sir, configuration monitoring purpose, everything. You can build one separate VM, basic VM, where you will monitor, you will do failovers, failbacks. Okay, troubleshooting also will do most of the time here only, until unless if it is related to SQL, we'll go for node 1, node 2. We'll go for node 1, node 2 if it is related to SQL. If it is not related to SQL, if it is related to the Windows level, then mostly every information you can find here. I don't want this. Can I go for node 1, node 2 as well? Yes, sir. Of course, you can also do the same thing. Node 1, either node 1 or node 2 as well. Either node 1 or node 2 as well. Also, you can monitor, you can do failover, fail back from node 1, node 2 also. You can do everything. But technically speaking, the best practices, what we will do, right? We will create a basic VM and we will build a cluster from there, and we'll monitor failover, failback, troubleshooting, everything we'll do it from the failure cluster manager level. Okay, That is a one point. Keep it in a mind. Okay. It's a mandatory. It's not a mandatory, but best practices. It's good, sir. Basically. Now, one more thing. Okay, sir. Here, the major concern everyone knows is storage. Storage. Okay, sir. When you go for SQL on cluster, again, sir, forget about standalone. Forget about standalone for next 3 days. Forget about standalone, everyone. So we are going to go for SQL on cluster. Correct? SQL on cluster. Sir, basically, when you go for SQL on cluster, you can't store your data in the local disks. Okay, like your MDF files, LDF files, backups. Again, I'm repeating, MDF, LDF, backup files, you can't keep in the local disks. You can't keep in the local disk. It can be system databases, it can be user databases. No SQL related databases information will be stored in the local disks. Only binary files will be stored in the local disk, sir. Only binary files will be stored in the local disk. Irrespective of binary files, you can't store any information in the local disk. This is the one of the major drawback in the clusters. You can't store your data in the local disk. So then how, sir? Means we will go for shared storage. Shared storage. So we will create a shared storage, sir. Shared storage. Shared storage. Assume this is your storage box, a shared storage box. So for one instance, for prod instance, I am mapping G drive, okay, L drive, a T drive, L drive, J drive. For example, these are the 3 drives. Forget about, sir, this instance. I'm having only one instance. First, I'm having only one instance. I have mapped G drive, T drive, L drive, J drive. G drive for data files, L drive for log drive, T drive for tempdb, J drive for backups. Okay. Now, whenever if something happened to Windows, something happened to SQL, and it is doing failover, all the disk will move to the node 2. Sir, here wherever your SQL is running, your disk can visible in the that node. Wherever your node is active node for that instance which is active node, on that instance only those disks are visible. Remaining nodes, the disks are not visible. Don't get confused because it is a shared disk. You can't store your data in the locally. You need to store only in the shared disk. This is the one of the major drawback, and your disks are not protecting by your Windows Failure clusters. Okay, that's the one of the major drawback with this Windows Failure cluster, sir. Why now SQL on cluster is disappearing means you can't store your data in the local. You need to store it in the shared disks only. Means whenever your SQL is failoring, it will fail over the disks as well. Means whatever the disks are visible here, all the disk will move to the node 2. Once you failure from node 2 to node 1, again the disk will move to the node 1. Got you? So if something happened to storage, everything is gone. Everything is gone, sir. Because your SQL is healthy, your cluster is healthy, everything is healthy, but SQL is down because your storage is down. If storage is down, it won't initiate the failover. Nothing will happen. Entire application goes down. Entire SQL will goes down. That is one of the major drawback with this Windows failure cluster. Sorry, SQL on cluster. Sorry, SQL on cluster because it's a state storage. So we can't rely more on the, sir, when you compare with the physical storage, having more redundancy, sir. Physical storage having more redundancy when you compare with the shared disks, right? So a little bit risky. If network goes down, if from this storage to this server, if network goes down also, this disk communication will gone. This disk communication will go. If any one of the disk is gone, entered SQL is gone. Entered SQL is gone. So because you are not maintaining the disk level redundancy, you are not maintaining the disk level redundancy, sir. You are maintaining CPU, memory, SQL level redundancy, everything you are maintaining except the disk level redundancy. That is the one of the major drawback in Windows failure cluster. See, this is your node 1, node 2. This is your cluster instance. I told you, right, which is monitoring this too. Okay, if something happened to here, it will bring. If something happened to here, it will bring. So in that time, what will happen, right? It will switch the storage from this to here, this to here, this to here, this to here. Okay. So if this crash, the storage will switch to here. If everything is crash, if storage is crash, then we are gone, sir. If storage is crash, we are gone basically, because entire cluster goes down. Entire cluster goes down. Cluster means SQL goes down, sir. Entire SQL will goes down. Entire application is down because you are not maintaining storage level redundancy. Nowhere your cluster is maintaining storage level redundancy. Got you? Yes? No? Are you there, online people?
Yes, sir.
Understand? Not understand?
Understand.
Okay. Now, sir. Now, this is what you need to understand, sir. This is what you need to understand. Every instance, sir, again, one more drawback here is one more drawback, sir. For example, this drive is using for this instance. Okay. Can I use same disk, same drive for this instance? No, no. Each instance need to maintain a unique disk. Each instance need to maintain, sir. When you go your laptop, you are installing 3 instances on your laptop on the same disk. On the standalone, it is accepted, sir. But when you go for SQL and cluster, one disk need to map to one instance. Means can I use same disk for another instance? You can't. You can't, sir. Again, we need to create one more disk. Again, we need to create one more disk. Each instance you need to create a unique disk. That is also one more drawback. Two drawbacks are here. Majorly, you can't store your locally. That is the one thing. Everything will be in the shared disk. That is the second thing. Third thing is each instance need to go for unique disk only. Each instance need to go for unique disk only. Okay, not okay?
Okay, sir.
Good. Thank you, sir. Now, this is what basic stuff, sir. Okay, basic stuff. Now, next thing is, for example, okay, Subbu, whatever you told, I little bit agreed. Okay, so I explained same thing. So the node where SQL is running will call this active node. The second node where it is a passive node over the responsibility when first node crashes. That's what. Both nodes SQL is running. If node 1 goes down, node 2 to take responsibility to run the 2 instance at a time. That is what active. One is a single instance, one is a multiple instance. Where I place this one? Somewhere I place it. Yeah, this. Okay, same. Okay, single instance, multiple. Now, for example, okay, forget about rest, sir. Okay, we'll discuss one by one. Okay, we are not discussing quorum anything today. Okay, so because we need to spend whole one day for quorum, sir. Most probably Monday. Monday we are going to spend more about the quorum because as I told you, right, one dedicated one session we need to allocate for quorum to understand because quorum will plays a vital role in the Windows failure cluster. Also, it will plays vital role in the always on availability group as well. Okay, so where we need to spend more time today. As of now, today I'm just walking through what is quorum. That's it. But dedicatedly, I'm going to take one session about the quorum, because you will get lots of questions from the quorum only. You need to understand the quorum, understand the hierarchies, understand the enhancement, and you need to understand the internal architecture as well, sir. Otherwise, you will get a little bit confused. That's the reason we are going to spend whole one day dedicatedly for quorum, and we are going to discuss many things. Okay, now, sir, for example, if you wanted to configure Windows Failover cluster, before that, sir, configuration, I want to discuss about some components. Okay, some components. So node, you already know that whatever the servers are going to be in part of cluster, technically we are calling as a nodes. Nodes are nodes. Okay, forget about active passive. Technically we are calling it as a nodes. Then you may ask one question, Subbu sir, in a single cluster, how many nodes I can build? Okay, just now we know that in one in on top of VM, on top of cluster nodes, how many instance I can build means 50 you can build. My question is something different. How many nodes you can go into part of the group, one group? On one group, how many nodes I can participate means, for that your answer should be somewhere I mentioned, sir, here. Sir, all are very important questions. All are very important questions. Okay. I will share this document. You no need to prepare, sir. In Windows Server 2003, you can build 8-node cluster. 8-node clusters are cluster, not SQL. Forget about SQL. SQL I already explained. 50 instance you can install. Okay. On Windows Server 2003, you can build 8-node clusters. In Windows Server 2008 and 2008 R2, you can build 16-node cluster. From Windows Server 2012 R2 onwards 2012 to R2 onwards, you can build 64-node clusters. How many clusters you can build, sir? Cluster nodes? How many, sir? 64-node clusters you can build. Okay, please keep it in mind. Wait, sir. Reason behind 25. Oh, wait. You see, sir. Okay, you are right, Raja. Sorry, sorry. Someone told 25, right? You are right. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. I need to recall. I missed. Okay, sir. Maximum number of instances on the cluster is 25, but 50 is also right, sir. Okay, 50 also right. I forget to add this point, because only when I'm explaining because maximum we never install 50 instances, sir. Okay, sorry, I need to recall. I forgot to recall. Okay, so 50 instances are possible if we choose SMB file share to store the data, Anyhow, I'm going to also show you how to create the file shares also. Okay, if you are going for file share, you can, yes, sir, you can install 50 instance. But if you're going for disk, that is share disk, you can go for 25 only. And if you go for mount disk, you can also go for 50 instance, sir. Okay, SMB file share and mount disk. Okay, if you go for mount disk, if you go for file share, you can install 50 instance, sir. 50 instance. If you go for share disk, okay, you can install 25 instance. I'm sorry, Raja. Okay, I forget to recall. Somewhere I hate. Okay, but long back story, right? Okay, so that's the reason, sir, I will document somewhere. Okay, that's the reason I will document. See, sir, now it's helped you as well. So if you go for share disk, you can install 25 instance only, sir, maximum, because the drive letters, okay, the drive letters will vary, because maximum how many drives you can create one server, sir? In one server, maximum how many disk you can create, sir? How many alphabets, sir? A, B, C, D. How many alphabets are there?
26
Forget about C.
minus
Forget
3.
about C. Maximum how many you can create, sir? 25, right?
Yes.
25 disk you can create. Like 25 instance I can. If I go for each instance one disk, 25 instance you can install, sir. That's the right answer, basically. I'm sorry, Raja. Okay. Okay. But 50 is also right. Yeah, right. Both are right, sir. Good. Okay. That's the reason I will document. Yeah.
Sir, can you explain that nodes, 64 nodes, just analysis?
Windows, sir. Windows servers. So now
Sorry,
I told you, I told you 3 node, right? 2 node cluster,
yes, sir.
3 node cluster, 4 node cluster. How many node cluster you can build? 64 node cluster.
Sorry, sir. Just being a node means here Windows server.
Windows
Windows
servers.
server. Yes, in
Windows
that particular cluster, we can configure 64 Windows servers
Nodes.
part
Yes.
of cluster.
Yes.
Thanks.
Mount disk, mount is nothing but
Mount points are in one disk. You will create a point, and that point you can convert as a disk. Mount
yeah,
disk.
mount disk contains 50 instances. We
Yes.
need to have the possibility.
Yes.
Okay, here SME file
File
shares.
share. Also file share, sir. File share. You can create a file share.
Yeah, slash contains or else mount also we can.
So you can maintain mount disk. You can maintain file share. You can maintain shared disk. Traditional kind of shared disks. But mostly we won't go for this too, sir. We won't go for this one, sir.
Okay.
We can go for this one.
Okay.
We can go for this one, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
mostly we'll go for this one. But again, 20 to 25% I can agree. Mount disk also you need to work sometimes. You need to work. And okay, now sir. So cluster node is nothing but okay. Each server, whatever it is going to be part of cluster, technically we are calling as a node. Okay, I'm agree. Heartbeat, sir. Okay. Like checking the resources. Like, are you healthy? As I'm healthy. Are you healthy? As I'm healthy. Like for example, like this. So it is checking the heartbeat. Okay, for example, I have built quorum here. Okay, I build the quorum here. Quorum, okay, quorum is checking the heartbeats are internally. You need to heartbeat like are you healthy, SMLD, are you healthy, SMLD, are you healthy? I'm not getting response. Are you healthy? I'm not getting response. Are you healthy? I'm not getting response. Then it will start thinking and it will do something internally and it will do the failovers. How it will do, what it is doing, everything we are going to discuss, sir. So heartbeat is nothing but checking between the health, sir. Checking the health between the resources. Okay, fine. See, sir, heartbeat is checking the mechanism arising between the two node using the private network. So every VM, sir, every VM contains the public network. Okay. For mostly we will use this public network for the connectivity purpose. And we are going to enable a NIC card. Sorry, in on-premises I'm saying. In on-premises I'm saying what they will do, right? They will enable a network interface card. Who's a network people? Your Windows people will enable the NIC card. That is nothing but private NIC card, which is going to check the heartbeat. Going to check the heartbeat. So this is the private network. This is the public network. Public network for connectivity purpose. Private network is nothing but for checking the heartbeat purpose. So every VM we are going to assign 2 IP addresses. One is the public IP address, one is the private IP addresses. One is a public, one is a private. Public for connectivity purpose, private for checking the heartbeat purpose. Clear, everyone? So in on-premises, dedicatedly, they are going to assign the NIC card. Sir. Who is that? Your Windows team along with the network team. They will assign a dedicated NIC card that is nothing but private card where it is going to check the heartbeat. Okay, see, heartbeat is checking a mechanism arising between two nodes using the private network. So private network usually is available among the cluster node only. Each node will have the private address which can be ping from one node to another node. Internally, it is checking for the heartbeat purpose, and public network is the connectivity purpose. So every node will have the public network, private network. Private network is checking for heartbeat. Public network is for the connectivity purpose. Okay, so you know about heartbeat, checking the heartbeat with the help of private network. You know about the nodes. Technically, whatever the servers are going to part of cluster, you should call it as a nodes. Okay, and shared disk. Okay, shared disk, as I told you, especially when you go for clusters, you can't keep the data in the local disk, sir. You can't keep the data in the local disk. You need to go for dedicated shared disks. You can't go for dedicated disks, sir. You need to go for shared disk only. A Windows failover cluster use the shared disk. Typically, the shared disk is on the SAN. When SQL instance is installed on cluster, system and user databases are required to the shared storage. Sir, your binary files will go to the local server only, but apart from binary files, all will go to the shared storage only. It can be shared disk, it can be mount points, it can be SMB file sheets. It will go for shared only. It won't go for the local. It won't go for the local. Please keep it in mind. This is very important. And if something happened to this state storage, everything is gone. Everything is gone. That is one of the major drawback with the Windows failover cluster. That is one of the major drawback with the Windows failover cluster.
Here is SAN any network path, right?
Sorry,
It's a SAN any network path.
we'll see, sir. Once you
Oh,
when you start configuring, then you will get to know.
okay, sir.
Sir, here
Like it,
little bit different, sir, because we don't have dedicated sandbox, right? Do you have any dedicated sandbox? No, right? We will use ISCS initiators, okay, to create the shared disks basically. In real world, dedicatedly, they will assign the shared disk to the server from the sandbox. Okay, here
because
we are using a tool, but in real world, they won't use ISCS initiator. They will assign the shared disk to the VMs.
simply term SAN means like any network
Storage only.
storage.
SAN
Network
is
storage.
SAN massive storage, sir. Storage is a storage sandbox, like a
Okay, sir.
network box. You know about network box, right? Like you know about, for example, you know about hard disk. You know about pen
Yes, sir.
drive. Everyone
Yes.
knows about pen drive. What is the size of the pen drive? Like 8, 4 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB, 128 GB, 256 GB, 512 GB pen drives you are getting. You know about hard disk. You can see external hard disk, internal hard disk. It is also storage only, right? Like same, SAN is a massive storage, sir. Sandbox is a massive storage. From there, we will take the storage.
So this storage will use as a shared
Yes.
storage for all the nodes.
Sorry.
This sandbox is used for as a shared storage for the all the nodes in the cluster.
Yes, sir. They will create
Okay.
they will create the shared disk from this sandbox.
Okay.
Okay, Subbu. Thank you.
NAS storage, SAN storage, NAS storage. So we'll discuss that storage a little bit more when we are discussing Azure storage account storage. Okay, that time you will get to know better understanding, sir. What is network arrays? What is storage network arrays? How the data is storing in the sandbox. Okay, so like this it will store, sir. If you go for storage network array. If you go for storage network array, uh, yeah, this is how your storage looks like, Raja. This is how your storage looks like. This box we are calling as a sandbox, for example. And this technical you should call it as a LUNs, LUN 0, LUN 1, LUN 2, LUN 3, LUN 4, LUN 5, LUN 6, LUN 7. So your storage, I don't know where it will fit. That is storage headache. That is how storage is storing, sir, your data. This is how the storage box will looks like. All these are storage box. This one. This is how the storage, and each you will see the LUNs. We'll discuss little bit when we are discussing uh, storage, Azure storage kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, sir, quorum, we are not discussing anything today. Okay. Quorum, we are not discussing anything today. As I told you, right? Quorum will plays a vital role. We are going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to take a separate session in this because it is applicable for always on availability group. It is also applicable for Windows failure cluster, right? So I'm going to take a separate session for quorum, sir. Now, two important questions you will get, sir. Very two important interview questions you will get it. One is, what are the prerequisites to configure cluster? Okay. First is how many node it is cluster, 2 node cluster, 3 node cluster, 4 node cluster, 5 node cluster. Second is what is whether it is active cluster or active passive cluster. Okay. If it is active cluster, you know that you notice that okay, we are going to install multiple instance. If it is active cluster, active passive cluster, okay, you got idea. Okay, it's a single node instance. Clear. And here is you need, if you want to build a cluster, sir, if you wanted to build a cluster, if you wanted to build a cluster, if you want to group these 2 nodes, okay, you need cluster name, cluster IP address. This is mandatory, sir. Okay, this is mandatory. That's what I told you. What is the cluster name, cluster IP address, and include all the nodes on the cluster group. What is the cluster name I need to provide? What is the cluster IP address I need to choose? This is the two things you need to get it from your application team or with the Windows team. Okay, this is two important thing. And you need to configure the quorum. This is very important, sir. Quorum. So different varieties of quorum is there. Node to node majority quorum, node to uh, file share quorum, node to disk quorum, node to cloud witness quorum, no quorum. I don't want any quorum. Okay, that is very important. We are going to discuss all this, and I am going to show you all these types are node to node, no worries, but node to disk I'm going to show you, node to file share I'm going to show you, node to cloud witness also I'm going to show you. Nowadays, because everything is moving to the cloud, right? So we don't want go for share, we don't want go for disk, we don't go for file share, we are going for cloud witness. So how to build the cloud witness quorum, that is also we are going to cover, and I am going to show you, sir. No worries. Okay. And there is a service, sir, MSDDC service. We are going to, sir, again, we'll discuss one by one practically so that you can understand all this, sir, whatever I'm highlighting in this document. You will get to know everything, theoretical part, practical part, no worries. So if I wanted to configure MSDDC, I want dedicated, I want shared disk, I want IP address. If you don't want MSDDC, you don't need this disk, sir. You don't need IP address. And MSDDC is not a mandatory from Windows Server 2012 onwards. From Windows Server 2012, it is not a mandatory. If you want, if application team wants MSDDC, then you need one disk, one shared disk, additional shared disk. Apart from SQL Server, you need one shared separate disk, and you want the IP address. This is also one important point. And how many instance, what is MSDDC, how it is working, what is the important, and this is the one of the important interview question as well. We are going to discuss slowly one by one, sir. Okay, once we start configuring, then we'll discuss one by one, theoretical, practical, sir. Okay, and if till now you install SQL Server, right? Till now you install SQL Server. Same, sir, installation is same. There is no change, but only few components it will add. One is okay, SQL Server virtual name, SQL Server IP address. Apart from your instance name, you need to provide the SQL virtual name and SQL virtual IP address. Means when you are installing SQL on cluster, you are going to provide one virtual name for SQL That a whole instance, you are going to create a virtual name along with IP address. IP address. That is a new component for user specially. Okay, so how many instances you are going to install? Those many virtual names you required, and those many IP address also you required. If you are installing 2 instances, you need 2 virtual names, 2 virtual IP address. If you are installing 3 instances, 3 virtual name, 3 IP addresses. So every instance is a unique queue. Every instance virtual name is also unique queue, and every instance IP address should be also unique queue. And what are the disk I need to go for when I'm installing the SQL Server? You need to know about the SanDisk information as well. And along with, traditional, sir, right? Whether I need to go for Windows authentication, SQL authentication, okay, mixed mode, or I need what are the features I need to install, which version, which edition, which instance. Okay, I need to go for data files need to go for which drive, log files need to go for. Sir, I am not explaining all the stuff. That is same here as well. That is same here as well. When you are installing SQL on cluster also, whatever you followed the standalone, same thing, sir. But additionally, you need to know about what is the SQL virtual name I need to provide and what is the IP address I need to provide when I'm installing the SQL Server. These are the two different changes you need to notice. Clear? Rest everything same, sir. Instance, versions, compatibility levels, everything is same. Everything is same, sir. Okay. Mixed mode authentications. Data files need to go for dedicated drive. Log files need to go for dedicated drive. TempDB need to go for dedicated drive. Backups need to go for dedicated drive. Okay. Rest everything is same. Again, rest everything is same, sir. Instance, versions, everything is same. Compatibility levels, everything is same. Only the change you will notice is what is the SQL virtual name I need to provide? What is the SQL IP address I need to provide? That is the two things you need to remember. Rest everything is same, sir. Clear? No? Yes?
Yes, sir.
And this is one of the most important interview questions, sir. And one more most important interview question is how many IP address do you need to install the cluster? Okay, sir, the answer should be if it is an active passive cluster, it's a 7 IP address you need. 2 is public. Sorry, it's a 2-node cluster. If it's a 2-node cluster, 7 IP address is needed. 2 for public, 2 for private, 1 for cluster, 1 for MSDDC, 1 for SQL. So if you don't want MSDDC, only 6 IP address is needed, sir. 6 IP address is needed. If you want MSDDC, 7 IP address needed. If you want MSDDC, 7 IP addresses needed. You need to remember this one, sir. Very important interview question. So if it is active cluster for 2-node, for 2 instance, for 2-node, 2 instance, 8 IP addresses needed. For 2-node, 3 instance, 9 IP address needed. For 2-node, 4 instance, add one IP address, sir. If you are adding SQL instance additionally, add one IP address. Okay. For 2-node, 2 instance, 8 IP addresses needed, 2 for public, 2 for private, 1 for cluster, 1 for MSDDC, and 2 for SQL services. Each instance, you need 1 IP address. So 2 instance I'm installing, 2 IP address. Total 8 IP addresses needed if I wanted to build the Windows SQL cluster.
Subbu, if we use a 3-node in a cluster, so
add 1 more IP address. Each add 1.
Oh.
When you are explaining, also explain the same, sir. For example, if you are asking question to me, hi Subbu, how many IP address really need to build the Windows Failover cluster? So for example, if you are taking 2-node cluster for active passive, we node 7 IP address, and for active we node 8 IP address, 2 for public, 2 for private, 1 for MSDDC, 1 for cluster, 1 for SQL. If you don't want one MSDDC, we can reduce 1 IP address from each, like 6 IP address for required for active passive, 7 IP address required for active. That's it, sir. If you add 3-node, add one IP address. Make a note somewhere. 3 public, 3 private, 1 cluster, 1 MSDDC, 1 SQL. So total 9 IP address you need. If it's a 3-node cluster. Correct? 9 IP addresses, right? You are adding just 2 more IP addresses.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Subbu sir.
Yeah.
In one node, if we have installed 2 instances, then how many IPs?
Sir, you can calculate as many as you want, sir. This is the hierarchy I told you. Getting my point? Either you are installing in one node 100, 50 instance, calculate the IP address. That's it. Okay. So what is the thing means? How many nodes are going to part of cluster? How many instance you are installing? That's it. Which instance I install, which node I install. That is not, you are not looking. How many instance you install? How many nodes are going to part of cluster? That's it. Naveen. Okay. I told if I go for 2 node, if I go, sir, you anyone knows about you can build the Windows failover cluster with 1 node? Anyone knows? You can build Windows failover cluster with 1 node.
No, Subbu.
Yeah, you can build Windows failover cluster with 1 node as well, sir. 1 node as well. Then how many IP addresses I need? 1 public, 1 private, 1 cluster, 1 MSDDC, 1 SQL. So you need 5 IP addresses. Yes, sir. Really, trust me. You can build with 1 node cluster as well.
Then
I
what if he
build.
is Subbu? Because
Sir,
what if he
sir,
is Subbu?
again, sir. Sir, you are mad. I am mad. I can do whatever I want. You can also do whatever
Okay.
you want. Can I judge your
Okay.
question? No, right?
No, no.
I don't
Yeah.
have any rights to judge you. That is yours, sir. Your opinion. This is my opinion here. I can do whatever I want. What is the problem with you? Okay.
Okay, I
So,
got it.
yeah, that's it. So, in my scenario, sir, what happened, right? Years ago, I built this one. When I'm being part of DR drills, there is a cluster, sir. It is not uninstalling. It is not doing anything, sir. It's behaving weird. Then we wanted to move the services immediately to perform the DR drills. We have short time. Then we decide, okay, we and our seniors, we went to the call and we decide. That time I was not that much heavy knowledgeable person, but I've been part of that one. I learned a lot of that day. Then he told, okay, yeah, Subbu, of course, we can build one node cluster. And then I was also get shocked. Oh God. Then being there is some issue is going on. We are not able to troubleshoot that one, and we are having less downtime to perform the DR drill. Okay. So we make instant decision. Why can't we build the cluster in different server and move the database to DR server? Let's see later on. We'll go and we'll troubleshoot. Okay. Getting my point? In my scenario, that is the case, sir. But some people can build single node clusters. No use. Again, no use again. But yes, you can build. That's it, sir. Theoretical part. Okay. We'll discuss one by one. There are a lot to discuss, sir. Again, I'm promising. There are a lot to discuss. MSDDC, we need to discuss look alive, is alive. We need to discuss we need to discuss possible owner, preferred owner. This is little bit confused concept, very important concept. Even in troubleshooting, also very important concept. And how the services will fail over when it's failoring, or how the services will fail over one by one, and what are the services are compatible, not compatible. We are to discuss lot many things. Okay. We will discuss tomorrow, sir. Not tomorrow, sir. Just whatever the planning little bit differently. Okay. If I start build the servers, are you okay for 1 more hour? No, yes.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, 1 more hour.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
Others? Sorry.
No, Subbu, I have Windows patching activity. So already started.
Oh, okay, okay. Any others? Who is working?
Yes, I also have a call.
Okay, yeah. So no worries, sir. Because I need to think the people who are working, because this is I need to tell scratch level. Okay, no worries. We'll build tomorrow servers. Okay.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You will, sorry, yesterday I forgot to upload the session. Remind me, sir. Sometimes I may miss. Okay.
Okay.
Nowadays I was a little bit busy. I'm missing. Okay, but today onwards I will get on time. Okay. Thank you.
Subbu, can you upload both sessions today and tomorrow?
Yeah. Today itself. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, if possible, please share the document.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.